Imagine walking into an antique shop on a lazy Sunday afternoon, only to stumble upon an artifact that defies reality. You know the kind of place I'm talking about. Brick walls lined with dusty shelves, each one filled with a mishmash of items from bygone eras. The air is thick with the scent of polished wood and old paper, a tangible testament to the myriad of stories encapsulated within these four walls. Our protagonist, let's call them Alex, wasn't expecting much more than the usual fare when they stepped into the shop. A few vintage postcards, perhaps an interesting lamp or an old record player, nothing out of the ordinary. But in the corner of the shop, something peculiar caught their eye. It was a device unlike anything they had ever seen. An odd concoction of brass and glass, etched with symbols that seemed neither of this time nor of this world. The design was reminiscent of steampunk aesthetics, yet it bore a futuristic aura. It was a paradox, an anachronism that stirred a sense of fascination within them. Alex felt an inexplicable pull towards it. They picked it up, feeling its surprising weight and the cool metal against their skin. They turned it over in their hands, taking in the strange, intricate details. The shopkeeper, an elderly man with a pair of round spectacles perched on his nose, ambled over. His eyes twinkled with a hint of mischief as he told Alex that it was a relic from a time and place that should not exist. A dystopian society, he whispered, that supposedly never existed. A world where the sun never shone, where humans were mere cogs in a mechanized world, where hope was as scarce as a blooming flower in winter. It was a tale that sent a shiver down Alex's spine, but it also sparked a flame of curiosity. With curiosity piqued, the decision was made, and the relic was taken home, oblivious of the revelations it held within. Little did Alex know this seemingly innocuous purchase was about to turn their world upside down. But that, dear listeners, is a story for another time. Back home, as the relic was closely examined, a series of bizarre symbols started to emerge. Our protagonist, a seeker of the extraordinary and the ordinary, found themselves drawn into the enigma of these cryptic markings. The relic became less of an antique and more of a puzzle box, filled with secrets waiting to be unlocked. As they started scrutinizing the relic, it was clear that these symbols were not ordinary engravings. They were intricate, deliberate, and filled with purpose. Each symbol seemed to be a part of a larger narrative, a tale sketched in an unknown language. It was like holding a piece of an alien civilization in the palm of their hand. The protagonist's curiosity was piqued. The relic was no longer a mere object, but a riddle to be solved. They plunged into a world of ancient languages, cryptography, and hidden meanings. They consulted experts, combed through libraries, and scoured the depths of the internet. Every night was filled with scribbled notes, dog-eared books, and the constant hum of a mind at work. The symbols slowly began to reveal their secrets. It was a painstaking process, filled with dead ends and wild goose chases, but like a thread slowly unraveling, the truth started to emerge. The symbols were not mere decorations, but a form of language, a coded message from a time long forgotten. The revelation was astounding. The symbols were no mere fabrication. They were a map, a guide, a blueprint of a society that was far from ordinary. A society that was thought to exist only in the realms of science fiction. A dystopian society where power was absolute and freedom was a mere illusion. The protagonist was left stunned. They had unknowingly stumbled upon a piece of history that was never meant to be found. What started as a simple purchase of an antique had led them on a journey through time, language, and the very fabric of reality. The symbols, once decoded, pointed towards a dystopian society that was thought to be a mere work of fiction. With each passing minute, the line between fiction and reality blurred as the relic started revealing its secrets. Our protagonist found themselves on a journey through a labyrinth of questions, their curiosity fueled by the peculiar antique. The relic, once just a trinket picked up on a whim, was now a beacon of enigma, a harbinger of a story that supposedly never existed. The tale it told was not one of this world, or so it seemed, but of a dystopian society that was meant to be confined to the realms of science fiction. The more our protagonist studied the relic, the more it whispered its secrets. Carvings that once seemed random began to form patterns, symbols that hinted at advanced technology, a civilization that had known both great heights and terrible lows. It was like deciphering an alien language, unraveling a mystery that was never meant to be solved. As the narrative of this dystopian society started to take shape, our protagonist found themselves grappling with a growing sense of disbelief. Could it be possible that this alleged fiction was in fact a reality? Could there have been an advanced society so unlike ours that it was easier to dismiss as fantasy? The relic's existence suggested otherwise. It was a tangible contradiction to everything our protagonist had known, a paradox that threatened to shatter their understanding of the world. Struggling to comprehend the implications, our protagonist found themselves at the crossroads of reason and revelation. The relic was not just an artifact, but a testament to an alternate history, a dystopian past that was supposedly confined to the pages of a science fiction novel. It was a piece of evidence that demanded a re-evaluation of what was considered reality and fiction. As the relic continued to reveal its secrets, our protagonist was left with more questions than answers. Was this dystopian society just a figment of imagination? Or did it truly exist? And if it did, what happened to it? The relic held these answers, waiting to be unearthed. The relic was not just an antique, it was a tangible piece of a history that was never supposed to be real. As the truth dawned, so did the fear of what it might mean for our own reality. In the quiet solitude of their home, our protagonist wrestled with the stark reality of their find. This ordinary individual who had simply sought to buy an antique was now grappling with a revelation that threatened to shatter their perception of the world. The relic, once a mere curiosity, now bore the weight of a dystopian society that was said to have never existed. Imagine, for a moment, standing on the precipice of such a revelation. The fear, the anxiety, the raw shock of it all. Our protagonist was not a hero of some grand adventure, not a scholar of esoteric knowledge. They were just an ordinary person who stumbled upon an extraordinary truth. The relic, in its crude and unassuming form, was a beacon from a time and place that was meant to remain forgotten. What does this mean for our understanding of our own world? If a dystopian society, a society that was supposedly a mere figment of imagination, could leave behind such a tangible piece of evidence, what else might we have overlooked? What other skeletons might be hiding in the closet of our collective history? Our protagonist faced a daunting task. They were burdened with a truth that was as unwelcome as it was undeniable. The relic was a stark reminder that history is often written by the victors, that the narrative we subscribe to may not be the complete picture. It's a chilling revelation, one that forces us to question the very fabric of our understanding. Fear and anxiety are natural reactions to such a discovery. Our protagonist, like any of us, was not prepared for this, but the truth, as they say, has a way of revealing itself, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. The relic was a silent testament to a reality that was meant to remain hidden. A reality that, despite the best efforts of time and forgetfulness, refused to be silenced. And now, our protagonist, an ordinary person in an extraordinary situation, had to grapple with the unwelcome truth of its existence. In the face of such an extraordinary discovery, what does one do? This question may have crossed the minds of many, but few have ever been in a position to answer it. Our protagonist, an ordinary person who stumbled upon an extraordinary relic, finds themselves in this exact predicament. It's not every day you buy an antique and discover it's a relic from a dystopian society that supposedly never existed. It's like finding a piece of a puzzle that doesn't belong to any known picture. The protagonist had a choice to make. The relic could be hidden, tucked away in a dusty corner, its secrets forever lost. It could be shared with the world, an artifact of a forgotten time, a beacon of a lost civilization. Or it could be a puzzle to be solved, a mystery that raises more questions than answers. Let's consider the first option, hiding the relic. It's the easiest, the safest. No one would ever know and life would go on as usual. But isn't there a certain responsibility that comes with such a discovery? An obligation to the past and to the future? Sharing the relic with the world is another option. It could cause a sensation, a media frenzy, a rewriting of history. But how does one prepare for the fallout, the scrutiny, the disbelief? The final option, seeking answers, is perhaps the most challenging. It's a journey into the unknown, a quest for truth that could consume a lifetime. But isn't that the essence of curiosity, the driving force of discovery? In the end, our protagonist chose to seek answers, They decided to delve into the mystery, to go where no one had gone before. It was a decision that would change their life forever and possibly the course of humanity. In the end, the relic remained, a constant reminder of a dystopian past that may hold the key to our future. The protagonist's journey reminds us that sometimes the most extraordinary stories are hidden in the most ordinary places.